Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Concord Township Board of Trustees meeting for July 3rd, 2024. If you would please stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lucci.
Present.
Mr. McIntosh.
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present. Moving into the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the June 24th, 2024 regular trustees meeting minutes.
So I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and this evening, moving into our elected officials report, we'll start with our fiscal officer, Mr. John Patriarca.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. I'd like to start this evening with a brief financial summary of the township. As of June 30th, 2024, we are 50% of the way through the calendar year. The treasury balance for the 21 active funds within the township treasury is $6.97 million. The treasury balance includes approximately $473,000 in funds set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures are currently at 41% of the amount appropriated for 2024, while year-to-date revenue is at 55% of the annual budget. These figures continue to keep Concord Township within the 2024 budget. Additionally, we spoke a little bit about in the public hearing earlier in office hours, but I did want to commend the board and Administrator Rose on their relentless pursuit of additional revenue streams for the township. Revenue streams that don't burden our residents as far as additional taxes go. The reallocation of the local government fund, being able to lobby with our state representatives for funding on a particular water line project, or a couple that come to mind right away. And at this point, I don't think it's any secret that we are operating with an extremely thin budget, which includes an underfunded and arguably an understaffed safety services operation. And I think the citizens of Concord Township should feel proud and impressed of the group that they have working for them, and the unwavering attitude that this team has to create the community that we all feel we deserve in Concord Township. So just want to say keep up the good work, and excellent. And other than that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy 4th of July and encourage everyone to make smart and safe decisions. So hopefully the safety services are nice and calm. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Patriarca. Moving into the trustees' comments for this evening, Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, since our last meeting, which was just a week ago, we have received emails and social media posts regarding the proposed RID. And I would like to point out a few things. I know we'll have more discussion later on, but a residential improvement district in Ohio is a mechanism that is fully supported by the Ohio Revised Code. It supports the community by funding and implementing enhancements and services that improve our quality of life, can increase property values, and fosters engagement and pride. We hear from our community about the needs for new and improved playground surfaces, equipment, improved areas for recreation, pedestrian walkways for bike riding and walking. We hear concerns about traffic safety and understand the crucial importance of having enough road patrols to keep everyone safe on the roads. We understand also the crucial need for continued investment in our emergency and fire services. We do care about our community, our schools, our children's education, our businesses, and the welfare of every person who lives and visits here. I feel that having additional funding, such as a RID, when our funding is limited and our costs continue to rise, where it is fully supported by the ORC, is a balanced and reasonable way to fund these initiatives. Aside from that, I did hear from a few people regarding the Citizens Action Committee on the levy amount recommendations, which I know we will get to as well. And with that, I would like to also wish everybody a happy 4th of July. It is my favorite holiday. I take great pride, not only in our Concord community, but in our country and what it stands for. And everyone be safe and enjoy.
Thank you,
That concludes my
Mrs. Lucci.
report.
Great. Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we got to do, well, I got to do a summer concert. I missed the others being on a vacation, so it was nice to come back and see. We had a beautiful evening last week for the concert. We will not have one tomorrow because it is Independence Day. I also have had to deal with answering questions about the RID and getting into that, and we'll talk more about that in detail, but I would reiterate that I think from my perspective, knowing that we have to come to voters in the fall and ask for support for our understaffed, as Mr. Patriarch has said, safety services, I feel it's our responsibility to do everything we can to pursue, not just sit back and say, well, we'll just hand it off to the voters. So we pursue grants. We look at these creative funding mechanisms, and I know there's a lot of concern about the schools. I don't see these as hugely negative, very small dollars we're talking about, but they're meaningful to Lake County or to Concord Township. Last week, had our second JED meeting of the year. We did see Mr. Copley, who we appointed. It was his first JED board meeting. It's great to have him. We had a very lively conversation. Treasurer reported that we're ahead of collection about 15%, so we're cruising along. Concord's we're projecting our number to be a little bit higher than last year, so that's definitely helpful. We discussed at length the report that Silverlow did and talked about the Quail Hollow Hotel property, and I believe we're working on, they did confirm for the 17th of July, so
Yes.
Those consultants will be here to make an official report to all of us. I've had a chance to go through that. I did the tour, so I've had some looks, but they will be here for a Q&A and a detailed presentation of that information. And I know people in the public are curious to know what's in that report, so look forward to having that conversation. I did have a conversation with one of the owners of the Little Mountain Creamery and Johnny's Auto Spa and Detail. Did I get that right, Mr. Rosado? And they're tracking to be open in August and promised to have us there for one of their first events. And we did see the resignation in Madison Township of Mr. Ken Gauntner, who has spent a lot of time. I forget, he was the county
50 years total
50
in Lake
years.
County.
And I got to know Ken over the last couple of years through our LCTA, and wealth of knowledge, great gentleman. Really enjoyed working with him, and he'll be missed, but good luck to him. After 50 years, he definitely deserves to retire. And with that, I just want to wish everyone a happy Independence Day. Take some time tomorrow and reflect on the greatness of this country and how we got here, and be safe in your celebration. I know the fire department doesn't want to come to your house. That concludes my
James
report.
all over the
All right,
place.
thanks. Yeah, I also had some calls since our last meeting regarding the RIDs, or the Residential Improvement Districts, and I know we had a public hearing earlier prior to this meeting. I'd like to thank those that were present, members of our community that spoke here in the open audience portion regarding the RIDs, and we did have some correspondence that was sent into our administrator that was read into the record, so I appreciate everybody's input. I think, and I mentioned this in the public hearing, but I think it's important to reiterate, how we got here, and with the failure of our safety levy last year, a lot of what we heard from our constituents and residents within the community was, you need to get a fresh perspective and look outside, or think outside the box, and look for different funding alternatives to offset, the costs that are rising for the township. So, one of those initiatives was the RID. I think it's a funding mechanism that affects new development within the township, that allows for some of that money to come to the township and funnel to the township to offset our increasing costs for infrastructure needs and things of that nature. There's a lot of other financial streams that we've worked on, as well as the new formula for the local government fund that will change, that will benefit Concord Township. Securing a state funding for the $500,000 to the water line project that we diverted to safety services. We've got that coming for those residents on Girdle Road, as well as some potential funding at the federal level to offset costs of Fire Station 2. And as Mr. Patriarch indicated, the board was very busy since last year, working on generating new financial streams to offset the costs to our residents when we go in the fall and ask for money to support our safety initiatives. So I think it's important, again, to reiterate how we got here. I think it is a benefit for Concord Township, and that we've done a lot of work since last fall to try to get to this point. I know that I also had some calls regarding the Citizens Action Committee report. We went into that briefly at our last meeting, but we didn't really go into the recommendation. We're going to have some discussion here further on the record in the new business portion of the meeting tonight. I did have a couple calls from some residents regarding some civil issues they're having with the property easement and some shared responsibility from other entities that had some questions for me. And I also had an issue of a call that was given to me regarding a trespassing complaint with the removal of some trees and things of that nature that I forwarded over to the Sheriff's Department to look at, which they did and remedied that for us. Other than that, I'd also like to congratulate Ken Gautner on his retirement. You know, I worked with him in the county when I was at the Sheriff's Department. He was a county administrator, a great public servant for a number of years, and a great township trustee, so I wish him the best. And I also would like to wish everybody a happy 4th of July and be safe and celebrate responsibly. With that, that concludes our comments. We will move into department reports for the evening, starting with our administrator, Andy Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer, members of the board, Mr. Patriarca, members of the audience, good evening. As usual, I'll start with some items on the agenda. Item B is Resolution 2024 TAC 13, which creates the Residential Improvement District, the RID, for the Ivy Ridge subdivision. It should be noted, I'm requesting that the trustees table resolution item A, which is Resolution 2024 TAC 12. That is the Villas of Canterwood Residential Improvement District, as that public hearing won't happen until a later date. And at the appropriate time, Mr. Dondorfer, I would ask that you set a public hearing for the Villas of Canterwood RID for the first meeting in September 4th at 7:15. Actually, I would make it 7 o'clock based on the length of the last RID hearing earlier today.
On what date?
September 4th. Item C is Resolution 2024 TAC 20. That is the resolution which requests the county auditor to certify the valuation for a tax levy. I know we're going to get into a discussion about this at the appropriate time. Items D through H are all votes regarding fire department personnel. Item I is a vote to approve the final development plan for Canterwood Villas, or Villas of Canterwood. Item J is a vote for a purchase order to Rush Truck Centers of Ohio Incorporated. That is for a new 2024 plow truck chassis in the amount of $107,789.15. We actually ordered this truck in 2022, and it's now ready. That's how far behind a lot of this equipment is. That concludes the agenda items to touch on. Moving on, while it's not listed on the agenda, I am requesting that the Board of Trustees enter into an executive session at the end of this meeting for the purpose of discussing pending legal matters with our law director pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G3. A little bit of, I guess it's great news and it's sad news for Concord Township, but on July 1st, 2024, I received a letter from Captain Calhoun from the fire department indicating his intent to retire on July 31st, 2024. This was an anticipated letter. This was with great reluctance. I accepted his letter on behalf of the trustees. Captain Calhoun will be significant. He will be missed here in the township, and I have invited Captain Calhoun to the next trustees meeting on July
Great.
17th. So we look forward to seeing him then. So the governor signed the capital budget bill. The $500,000 was still in it after he signed it. I double checked.
Great news.
Not that I don't trust the state, love those guys. But so we're set for the $500,000 for the water line extension project. Earlier today, I received the set of papers from the OBM, Ohio Office of Budget and Management, and they've outlined the steps in the paperwork that we need to fill out and submit in order to close that out. So I'll be working on that next week. I've touched bases with Bob Parker, our engineer on the project, and we're also meeting next week to shell out a timeline on the appropriate time to go to bid and the appropriate time that we want the work to be conducted. So all that's starting to fall into place, and it doesn't sound like it's moving fast, but now that the money is solidified, it's going to move pretty quick, and we'll probably be installing new water lines end of the year, beginning of the year, in the winter months. I would one more time. I would like to thank State Senator Jerry Serino and State Representative Jamie Callender for their work and their support of this project. It is greatly appreciated. So thank them both. For what it's worth, we did receive notification from the management team of the Quail Hollow Hotel property that they have signed a contract and hired a landscaping company, and we anticipate that the grass should be cut soon. So it's not something I'd hold my breath over.
Quail Hollow soon, right?
I'm sorry.
Quail Hollow soon. They're on their own clock.
Right, exactly. But it's better news than we have received in the past. So hopefully something will happen. The next coffee with the administrator is scheduled for Thursday, July 25th. That's at 9 o'clock at the community center. And a common theme, I hope everyone has an enjoyable and safe Independence Day holiday. Please take some time to reflect on how we got 248 years old in this great experiment. That concludes my, and when we get to the RID discussion, if we break into a discussion, I may have some comments to add to that discussion. Thank you, sir.
Okay, going on into our fire department, Chief Sabo.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So for the month of June, we had a total of 262 incidents, bringing our 2024 year-to-date call volume to 1,589. By comparison, this time last year, we were at 1,430. So we're already on track to exceed our call volume from last year when we set a record. So we are getting busier. In EMS, we had 162 total events with 130 transports to local hospitals. We had 99 non-EMS events, including 8 fires inside of Concord. We had 5 fires, including 4 vehicles and 1 gas grill. And we assisted in 3 fires outside of Concord, including 2 possible structure fires and 1 smoke in the building. I know this didn't happen in June or in July, or in June, but I want to give kudos to A-Shift and the Lake County Sheriff's Office Communications Division for a job well done. I'm not going to take anything away from Mom because she did all the work. Please trust me. But this is a rare occurrence for us that we get involved in an active childbirth situation, and certainly it's even more unusual that the dispatcher had to coach Mom through it. The baby was delivered before we arrived. Wow. So that was all done by guidance over the phone. Fantastic work by Amanda at Central Dispatch. This was her first night on running solo on the fire desk. Wow.
Talk about
and I had to stop out at the dispatch center that night, and I took him a birthday cake to celebrate. But no one else in that room at dispatch that night had ever, with all the years of experience, had ever had that opportunity to coach someone through a childbirth over the phone. So a rare occurrence. Mom and baby were transported successfully. They're doing well from what I hear. But just, I have to report so much trauma all the time, and this was a breath of fresh air to give some good news and a good feel good story. So
Great.
we did give mutual aid 25 times. We received mutual aid 10 times, and we had about 81 overlapping calls for about 31% of our call volume in the month of June. Fire prevention completed 75 inspections, accounting for about 90 hours. Completed 6 plan reviews for new businesses or changes to business, and completed 4 hours of continuing education. Additionally, we were outperforming public education in force in the month of June. On June 1st, we had Jammin' on Johnny Cake at the Painesville Assembly of God car show. So we were present at that. We had a community CPR AED Stop the Bleed at Station 1 on June 3rd. On June 11th, we hosted a dinner at the firehouse with the firefighters. So we donated this dinner for 6 to the Painesville Rotary to raffle off as a fundraiser, and all the firefighters chipped in and bought dinner and cooked it for them, and the family came up and celebrated. They got a station tour and got to learn a little bit more about the fire service and Concord Fire Department, so that was pretty cool. We have a couple more of those out to different raffles throughout the county right now. On June 18th, we were at Touch a Truck program at the Goddard School. On June 25th, we were out again doing CPR, AED, and Stop the Bleed training for Dworkin and Bernstein law firm. On June 27th, we got invited by UH Tri-Point to perform a squad demonstration to the Hondros College of Nursing. They have an association with UH for these high school kids that are possibly looking in the medical field for a career. So they had a chance. We took a mannequin out there, and they got a chance to practice innovations and IVs and all kinds of different things. So that was a pretty cool, and there was probably about 60 or 70 kids involved in that. So that was pretty neat. And then on June 28th, we were at Quail Hollow Country Club for their fireworks show, as we are every year. Fire prevention's out, making sure it's safe, and then the duty crew comes up and just as gives tours of the fire trucks and ambulances. So it's a pretty good event. I guess the rain held out for them, so that was good. In regards to the agenda, items F and H are both referencing. These are both voluntary demotions of firefighters that are formerly firefighter 1. Firefighter 1 is a rank that part-timers can get that dedicates them to a certain number of hours per month. It guarantees them 120 hours a month. So they're working every other 24-hour shift. But unfortunately, 2 of our firefighter 1 part-timers have been hired full-time elsewhere. One by Richmond Heights Fire Department, one by Mentor Fire Department, so their hours are going to reduce at Concord. So this is a perfect example of the flux that public safety staffing is in right now. There's still a possibility that they continue working for us and maybe have an opportunity to work for us full-time. But the fact of the matter is that they did get hired somewhere else and they're moving on. Items D and E, as Administrator Rose mentioned, with Captain Calhoun's retirement, I hope you look favorably on those items D and E in support of Lieutenant Yoder and Firefighter White as promotions up to officer ranks, Yoder to captain and White to lieutenant. They went through a pretty rigorous testing process, written, oral interviews, assessment centers, and so they worked very hard, as did all the candidates. And it's never an easy decision because, as you've mentioned in the past, when you do interviews, we have a stellar group of officers and firefighters. Stay tuned. So on July 22nd, we'll be having an event for Captain Calhoun at the fire station at 11 o'clock to kind of congratulate him, and we'll be giving him his last ride home to help him start his retirement with him and his wife Stacy. And unless you have questions, that's all I got.
Thanks, Chief.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks.
it. Have a good holiday.
You too.
Service Department, Mr. Rose.
Thank you. Mr. Brown has got some well-deserved time off. Service Department in the month of June performed road repairs around the township and maintenance operations. Over 200 yards of concrete were poured in the Hunt Club to replace some road slabs. Crack sealing on several asphalt roadways and Durapatch repairs over on Cascade. In addition, they're doing ditch maintenance, some culvert replacements, and grounds maintenance continues by the Service Department. The week of June 17th, Viewmont and Page Drive received their asphalt resurfacing, and they look great. I've snuck out myself. Viewmont still has to be crack sealed along the concrete curb, and then there's a treatment of reclamite that seals the new asphalt. Winchell Road, the resurfacing and culvert replacements on Winchell Road are scheduled to begin the second week in July. Once that job starts, Winchell will be closed to through traffic once construction begins for about 60 days. I'm going to repeat that for our residents. Winchell Road, once this construction project begins the second week in July, Winchell Road will be closed to through traffic for about 60 days. Residents obviously will be able to access their homes. The Lake County Stormwater Department will be overseeing a pretty good sized drainage improvement project on Grand Ridge Point Drive. That project will begin the week of August 12th. There's some significant erosion from a failed storm sewer outlet, and that'll be repaired and the storm sewer reconnected to a new outlet, and that project is funded with stormwater dollars. And the Service Department reminds residents, if you have any questions or concerns, to contact them at 440-350-3225, or you can email them through the township website under the Service Department tab. And that concludes the Service Department report.
And I believe you're giving the Zoning Department report also.
I am. Mrs. Freeman is also enjoying some well-deserved time off. The Zoning Department during the month of June, the Zoning Department staff processed 45 zoning permit applications, bringing the year-to-date total up to 217. For this month, we had 12 fences, 9 accessory buildings, 6 swimming pools, 6 single-family dwellings, 5 decks, 2 accessory structures, and 2 residential additions. We did approve a couple of new business permits. Quality Imaging Solutions. They're a business that sells and repairs office equipment, and they're located at 7757 Auburn Road. And then Hockman Design Studio. They're a general building contractor, and they're also at 7757 Auburn Road. And we appreciate their investment in our community. Additionally, zoning staff was busy performing and completed 77 property inspections with open zoning permits, issued 43 zoning certificate of compliances for projects that were completed. The staff also began 29 new investigations about potential zoning violations. And finally, next week's regular Board of Zoning and Appeals meeting was canceled as no applications were filed. That concludes the zoning report for today.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you.
Moving on to Recreation, we have with us Susie Cobb this evening. Welcome, Susie.
Appreciate you
Thank
coming, so I
you.
don't have to give this report.
Yes, because Mr. Supler is also enjoying some time off too.
Good.
Well deserved also. The Recreation Department has been hard at work and excited. We're very busy July and August. Our summer concert series are halfway done. The June has been a huge success. Lots of people coming and food trucks, and it's fun. Attendance has been excellent. The bands have been fun, and we look forward to our July schedule. Reminder that there is none tomorrow due to the 4th. We do have our next concert will be July 11th, featuring Hickory Rockers. The only food truck that will be there is East Coast Custard. Just a side note. And the full concert schedule plus food trucks are available online on our website too. we had our June tennis camp that was for 6 to 8 year olds. Held in June from the 19th to the 21st. We had 5 kids sign up for that, and we have another session in July starting on the 17th, and we still have some openings for the 6 to 8 and the 9 to 12 year olds. So if you're interested in that. And then rookie sports baseball is currently going on. It's Tuesday evenings here at the ball field. There are there's 45 kids, and over 35 of them are Concord residents. And
Great.
every time I do the registrations, I'm just amazed that the need is here, and I'm so grateful that we are able to give that. June 12th, we had our Father's Day cookout for the 55 plus group, and thank you to, well, he's gone, but thank you to Chief Sabo and Fidel for coming and helping cooking for burgers and grilling, along with all the delicious food sides that were available to celebrate our wonderful fathers out there. Upcoming events for our seniors. July 10th is Stories of the Frontier. Tanya will be talking about the early settlers here in Lake County. On the 17th is National Hot Dog Day. So of course, Rachel, I'm sure, is going to be serving some hot dogs that day. All are welcome.
Not all in that contest.
Eating
One per
contest.
customer.
Yeah, we're gonna limit that.
Yeah.
I'll do the ordering, so I'll make sure we have enough. And then the 24th of July is the Summer Olympics bingo. And bingo is a very huge hit, so make sure you register for them. Our Old Stone School, I'm very excited about, is going to be hosting a storybook walk reveal on July 20th at 12 o'clock. I'm currently in the process of getting these together for Dan. There's going to be around the gardens, the Concord Gardens over at the schoolhouse. There will be a story walk where the people can go along the edges of the garden and read a story. Eventually, we're hoping to bring one to the community center too, to the walkway over there. So, and then of course, Dan will have tours on August 10th at Community Day for the schoolhouse from 4 to 6. Speaking of Community Day, it is coming. We're very excited. We have a full schedule of events. You can definitely look at the website and see what is going on. There will also be a postcard that will go through Valpak that will be sent out to residents and then part of the surrounding communities. And a few of the main programs, though, that are on for that day is Fire Station Pancake, free pancake breakfast. Open house will be also held for the new fire station from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. that morning. And yes, this is a free event, so please come and join us. There'll be free yoga class at the gazebo from 8:30 to 9:15, run by Lake Yoga. Thank you for participating with us. The parade, which we're very excited to have for our second year in a row, will be at 11:15. We are definitely looking for more people to participate. We have many that are already, but we could take any groups, businesses, HOAs, residents who want to participate in that. Actually, I was just driving down our road at home, and there was a lady making a float, and I had to stop and ask. So I asked her, and she was so excited to be able to come to our parade. So if you see someone making a float, ask them. We can fit them in for sure. And what else was I going to say about that? Oh, and you can just reach out to us at the rec office, and we can certainly send you an application for participation. The main event will begin at 4 p.m. and go till 10, which is followed by the fireworks. The Kids World will include Jungle Terry, Dr. Awesome, and his amazing bubble show, Concord Alliance Carnival games, face painters, balloon twisters, inflatables, and the famous frog jump. So lots to do for kiddos, and then we will also have our beer and wine sales, along with plenty of food trucks. The bands are Disco Express, and four kings and a queen, and everything will be capped off with the amazing fireworks show. So please come and join us on Saturday, August 10th. A lot of love and hard work goes into this event, so we love to be able to participate with people. The other thing is, if you are not signed up for the e-grapevine, I am on a mission personally to make sure everyone is signed up for the e-grapevine. So please go to our website and you'll see it right in the center of the screen to be able to sign up for our newsletters. And you can do that on concordtownship.com. Or you can call us and we will certainly do it too. A reminder that there is no summer printed grapevine this year. We have gone to the 2 per year. So the next one will be in late August. We are currently right in the mix of planning or figuring that out along with the community day, but it will go all the way through February. So that is a change that is new this year, but I think it's a great change. Please feel free to call out to us if you need anything, but I have to personally congratulate Kenny Gautner. I grew up with his daughter. His daughter is my sister's, one of her dearest friends, and he lived right around the corner from us, so I've known him his entire journey almost. So congratulations, Kenny, and everyone have a happy 4th of July. And if you have any questions, give us a call at 440-639-4650. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. And our law enforcement report, Lake County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Muslau, welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So for the month of June, we had 875 calls for service altogether. For accidents, we had 8 injury accidents and 6 property damage accidents. For traffic enforcement, we had 15 citations with 127 warnings. Total arrests were 10 in Concord, 2 of those for felonies. The rest were misdemeanors. 3 of those were OVIs, operating under the influence. For other calls and investigations, we had 53 alarms that we responded to, 30 suspicious calls, whether it's suspicious vehicles, persons, or circumstances. We had 1 burglary, which involved a firearm on Morley Road. Can't give too much info about it. It's still under investigation. There's 2 juvenile males that are under investigation for the burglary. 2 sex offenses, 4 domestic violence investigations. We have 21 disturbances, drug investigation, which came from a traffic stop in Concord, and then 1 motor vehicle theft, and then 1 weapons call. In reference to the speed trailer we have for Concord, it's been in 6 different locations last month. Currently it's on Timber Lane. Before that it was on Prouty.
Great.
Good. That concludes my report.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Yeah.
That concludes our departmental reports for this evening, and moving into the audience portion of the meeting. If there's anybody that'd like to come forward to the podium, you can state your name and your address and speak on the record. Okay, seeing that we have no one, we'll move into old business. We have no old business, so we will move into the new business, and we have several votes for this evening.
I believe, according to Mr. Rose, we were going to table item A.
Yes, item number A, we are going to table,
Okay.
and we'll address that at the
We'll
next.
set that, I think we were looking to set that public hearing for 7 o'clock on the 4th of September, which is our first meeting in September.
We can do that.
We're all good with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get the appropriate notices out in the new letters.
Okay, so we'll move
Thank
on
you.
to item B.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution 2024-13, creating the Ivy Ridge Incentive District and declaring improvements to parcels within the district to be a public purpose and exempt from taxation as provided in section 5709.73 of the Ohio Revised Code and related authorizations.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, we had the public hearing, we talked about that. Certainly the township budget is in a state of necessity, and I'll reiterate my point that I feel it's a responsibility of us to do as much as we can to adequately fund township government, especially at a time when you have to ask taxpayers to come into their pocket and have to contribute more. I know we have residents are concerned about cost of taxes. At the same time, we have to balance the cost of running the government. And so I think doing all of the things we've been doing this year, this being one of them, is a responsible step. I know you guys have some comments, have more, but.
Yeah, I think if we didn't take advantage of this opportunity, that wouldn't do a favor for anybody.
No.
I sort of mentioned in my report all of the needs that we hear in our community, and this will allow some of those improvements. that we probably would not be able to afford if we didn't have it. So again, we support our schools, we support children's education, but because this is something that we are legally able to do, I feel that it's a great opportunity.
I agree. I think it's an opportunity for us to offset the increasing costs in the township. We heard our voters after the failed safety levy last fall. We're doing everything that we can to generate new financial streams for the township's costs. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to do some of that. There was some feedback that we received that this is something that should be put to the voters, and my response to that is, we've all been elected to make some challenging and difficult decisions at times, and this decision is not something that realistically would go to the voters. It's something that we have an opportunity to do to benefit the community, and we're tasked to be good stewards of the township, and this is an avenue I think we need to pursue. So I'm in support of it. It does not diminish significantly to the school's budgets, and they will still I believe receive 25% of the dollars generated by the RID.
Of the improvement,
Of
yes.
the improvements,
Correct.
Right. So I'm in favor of that. So
I know there's a lot of concern about the schools,
Right.
and I think to put it in contrast, Administrator Rose and I have talked about it. We were talking about these particular RIDs being less than 0.5% of the annual budgets at their full tilt, and it's going to take a period of 10 years. And we have the option for 30 to go and say, hey, we want this to be, but I feel it's balanced. And Ohio Revised Code allows entities to do this. They also do the TIFs, which the townships are doing for, again, I think between 15 and 20 years. Same thing. And when these things come into our community, we have an increase of cost, and we only collect 17% of the tax dollars. So it's not like, and I know residents are looking at it and say, well, your budgets are growing. They're capped. Levies stay the same. So this is something that helps. It doesn't solve all of our problems, but I think, again, it's a good faith gesture on our part to say, we're not just looking at the residents and say, well, come out of pocket, we need this. We're going to do what we can. And it does impact the schools, but we're not slashing their budget by millions. This is tiny, and I just think it's responsible governance on our part. Happy to continue having conversations with the schools. We need notices they haven't come and reached out to us or spoken with us about this. So we're here to be cooperative as much as possible. We're realizing ORC, and I think it's responsible.
all in favor?
I would
Aye.
roll call
Roll
vote.
call.
I would
Oh,
roll call vote,
Okay,
yes.
roll call vote.
I'm sorry.
Mrs. Lucci,
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 2024-20, resolution requesting the county auditor to certify to the taxing authority the total tax valuation of the subdivision and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a specified number of mills.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, before we vote on that, I'd like to start out by saying that we did touch initially on some of the results of the Citizens Action Committee at the last meeting. I know that there were some questions we all entertained about what that recommendation was going to be. The recommendation by the Citizens Action Committee was to, in the fall, they recommended running a 3.9 mils straight fire levy, Mr. Rose,
For 5 years.
for 5 years.
Correct.
Right, 5-year levy. And, we haven't entertained questions on that. There's a lot involved in that. We thought outside the box and had this committee do a lot of work. It was very insightful, but it took a lot of time to digest. I read it several times. It's a report that's a public record that anybody can get. I urge you to read it. And once you digest it, some of the things I liked about it, it's sort of, we had that permanent safety levy that was commingled to fund both fire and police. If we do decide to run a straight fire levy in the fall to sustain what we need as far as a level of service here for both fire and police, what that allows us to do with the permanent safety levy would allow us to generate and fund the sheriff directly out of that levy and return or to get the 10 deputies with the sheriff's department, which would give us 2 deputies 24/7, because we all understand that you need 5 full-time deputies to fund one 24/7, 365 days a year. So I sort of like that part of it. I also like the fact that if that is successful and we do fund the sheriff out of the permanent safety levy, officers that are there now or new ones that will be coming in won't be exposed or have to worry about maybe another 5-year levy down the road, and what is my job going to be secure, or am I going to have to count on the voters 5 years down the road to keep my job here? Because I know I've been in the business 32 years. It's imperative that we keep the cadre of firefighters and the cadre of law enforcement officers that we have in the township right now to service the needs of a growing community. One deputy, 24 hours a day, does not do that. And if we're able to keep that cadre of officers and they're not looking to, laterally transfer to other agencies because of better incentives, and they know they have security here, then I think we're doing a good thing for the township. So, as well as the other things that we've done, to offset the ask as far as generating other financial revenue with some of the other things that we've talked about, the RIDs, different grants and things of that nature. We're trying to do what we can, but we're in a dire position right now, and we're going to need everybody to help out on this. And we plan on trying to reach out and connect and communicate with as many people that we can to explain this ask through different venues. And I think it's important. It's an important time for our community. We all understand that safety is imperative to the health and wellness of any community. And we have an obligation to make sure our residents are safe.
Yeah, so I feel that this is a very balanced, very reasonable approach. The committee did look at higher levy amounts and had good reason for that. But I think kind of meeting somewhere in the middle, and I think Mr. Patriarch, you could also attest that, will help us meet those 5-year
Yeah, absolutely.
goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the millage proposed by the CAC, it allows the safety services cohesive unit to operate within the budget for the next 5 years, allowing 10 sheriffs, which allows 24/7, 2 sheriffs always on patrol, which was one of the benchmarks that, when the group was together and they were discussing, there were a lot of options on the table, and that was one of the options that they were steadfast on, and that was one of the benchmarks that when we came to brass tacks, it was, I don't want to say a non-negotiable, but it was something that a lot of people in that room felt very sternly about. And I think those feelings echoed that of the residents throughout the township. And so with that in mind, that level of service, the millage that they recommended was appropriate. And it was appropriate for a term of, a number of years, which is realistic and that allows the township to plan adequately, as opposed to, hey, this gets us through the next 24 months, or this gets us through the next 36 months, where, the people in the room, and I agree, really felt that having to go back constantly and ask and ask and ask was just something that, they weren't comfortable doing. and leaving, the board and the community in a state of flux to where, if we don't pass this next levy in 24 months, we're back in the same position where we're losing personnel, we're having to cut back on hours, whatever the case may be. And Carl kind of spoke to the challenges of retaining that talent. And so this particular package was something that everyone felt comfortable with. Granted, there were people in the room that wanted more, certainly.
Yep.
But I think at the end of the day, we had to find that middle ground, or they had to find that middle ground rather, to have a recommendation that was responsible for the taxpayers, every citizen in Concord, that they were going to have the safety services that they needed, that they would be comfortable with. I don't want to say it's not a bare minimum situation, but certainly there was entertainment of more, for sure, and the need was there potentially. And so I think that they did a great job of balancing the needs of the community and the realistic costs associated for each taxpayer, and the number that they came up with reflects that. And from a fiscal perspective, I'm comfortable with that over the next 5-year period.
I mean, I think it was kind of a no-brainer that we already have this permanent safety levy, that why touch it? It can fund deputies that we need to patrol, and so asking for a straight fire levy seems to make a lot more sense. I mean, Chief told us today that you had the calls that we have so far this year exceed what we had last year, which was already a record. We get around the same number of calls, around 1,000 a month from law enforcement, and nothing's getting better. Things are going up. Things are costing more money. We have to retain the talent. I hate to see anybody go for full-time jobs somewhere else. So I feel that it's a good ask, that they looked at the type of people that live in our community and the ability to be able to afford these types of services. I think that's very important, and it educated me a lot on why the 3.9 makes sense and why it is an investment that we all need to be a part of.
Yeah, I want to take a minute and just thank the committee once again. One of my favorite phrases in leadership is being in the fog of war, and I definitely feel they helped us see through that clarity. We have dealt with safety funding for a lot. We agreed to hire additional deputies. We put the levy on the ballot last time. We talked about the construction project for fire stations and that desperate need for facilities. And when the levy failed, I think there was definitely which option, not that we didn't know what to do and they didn't tell us things we didn't know, but it was seeing its way through what is the path, what is the best path here. What I like about the recommendation is the clarity that it provides. Mr. Dondorfer spoke about it. We are able to sort of separate something that was commingled in a budgetary thing. That helps the safety service budgets, the directors of the fire department, the contracts we do with the sheriff's department. It allows for clarity so we know what we're talking. When we talk to our residents, fire levies fund the fire, safety fires the police. That's a clear, clean explanation to our residents so they understand millage, what they're voting for, where the money's going. I'm also thinking the fiscal office probably likes that tidiness maybe a little bit. And it was nice that we had members come in from the community to help validate our need. I mean, I did some conversations with chief and deputy chief, and I'm rounding numbers here, but I think the increase of things that we need to buy, radios, heart rate monitors, replacing our equipment, just the increase over the next 5 years is like $1.5 million. So the capital expenditure number has just swollen. I mean, the cost of equipment's gone up because of the pandemic, the cost of paying safety services. We had 2 firefighters leave. I cringe that I said it during office hours to our guests tonight, that the thing that keeps me up is losing the firefighters. And talking about that, it's the same in law enforcement. Last fall, I went on a ride along with the sheriff's department. I got to straddle the end of one shift, the start of the next, and I remember some of my younger days when I was in law enforcement, and we got some great, young, energetic, enthusiastic guys. I mean, they come to work and they're excited to be cops and go out there and do the right thing for our community. We don't want to see them I had been on the grand jury, got a testimony from a Painesville city officer who came to the county. He started talking about why he wanted to work for the county and be in the townships. And we don't want to see that guy go back to the city of Painesville. He's awesome. And they're all great. I mean, I saw a bunch of new guys that were like brand new officers. This is their first job, and they were loving it. And having been out there at one point, you want that enthusiasm out there to go do the traffic stop, to get the investigation, to get the drug arrest. I mean, Concord is the benefit of great safety services between the sheriff's department and the fire department. Want to keep those people here, and the bottom line is it costs what it costs. And we have done everything we can to control spending and manage it. We've done a phenomenal job. And frankly, the bucket's just empty, and we need to do this. I really appreciate that. And I think this process brings a level of accountability and transparency to our budgets. We can communicate with our residents. They can see what we're doing. 5 years, we need more money. We add another levy. We do something. It's very straightforward. And I'm proud of the work that we've got. We've got a lot of work to get it done, but I think this is the right path.
Yeah, and to kind of expand on Mr. McIntosh's comments about the cost of just a lot of the equipment, we had the privilege of having a few residents in at office hours, and we were discussing some of the details, and it was the same faces I saw when the committee was meeting. When they hear the numbers of what the equipment cost is at right now and what the need is, and not just like we'd like to have this. No, we need this. It's the same look. It's the same jaw drop. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that at first. And then at that point, we really start to understand that, okay, you were at this budget 8 years ago. It's a fixed amount. And here we are in 2024. It's simply not only is it not sufficient, we're lacking in our what should have been a scheduled savings for capital purchases that is just not there. And so it's the same facial expressions that we saw tonight during office hours was the same facial expressions we saw initially in the committee. And obviously I welcome any of the other residents to reach out to the fiscal office or the chief, and they'll be happy to share that information, and hopefully it'll be an eye-opener for everyone to understand what the current need is, and the current ask that the recommended ask falls right in line with it.
Mr. Rose, any comments?
Just real quick for the benefit of our residents in the audience listening. This resolution 2024 TAC 20, this is asking the county auditor to certify an amount for a 3.9 mil 5-year fire levy. Should this pass when you vote, it will then be, I will send it to the county auditor on Monday morning after the 4th of July long weekend. And then they will send back a certification. And then once we get that certification, I'll review it with John Patriarch, our fiscal officer. I will then coordinate with our law director to create the second step, which is the actual levy ballot language, and passing a resolution to place it on the ballot. And as a reminder, the filing deadline to the Lake County Board of Elections is August 7th at 4 o'clock, which is 3.5 hours prior to our August meeting. So I anticipate looking at this on July 17th. So I just want to outline the steps.
Thank you.
That are going to go forward, but those are the steps. And I, like everyone else, I was in that Citizens Advisory Committee, and I strongly encourage passage of this one to get the certification back. Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Lucci,
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Item D.
Mr. Chairman, vote to approve the promotion of Lieutenant Troy Yoder to the position of captain effective August 1st, 2024.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. I just want to say, just stellar. We use that word all the time. Stellar bunch of.
Yeah, these are all
Yeah.
great to see.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the fire department promotion of firefighter Adam White to the position of lieutenant effective August 1st, 2024.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, again, promoting Adam White. You know, I had him as a Thames medic on the SWAT team when I was a commander. We're very fortunate to have these guys. They're great. Troy, Adam, both. All of them. I'm glad they're promoted, and I'm glad there was a township.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the voluntary demotion of firefighter 1 Alexander Kessinger to the position of part-time firefighter paramedic effective July 1st, 2024.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the promotion of part-time firefighter EMT Basic Gabriel Kovats to the position of part-time firefighter 1 effective June 19th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the reassignment of firefighter 1 Grant Engsberger to the rank of part-time regular firefighter paramedic effective July 3rd, 2024.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. And Mr. Chair, we're not doing aye.
No, we are.
Yeah, I is the final plan.
Oh, that's sorry. Thank you.
Development. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
For the record, I slid over and asked
you
Friday. I was like, "This isn't right." She's like, "It's not right."
No, I knew that. I did. Okay. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the final development plan for the villas at Canterwood Farms, Phase 3 residential conservation development.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the PO in the amount of $107,789.15 to Rush Truck Centers of Ohio, Inc. for a 2024 plow truck chassis.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And moving into future meetings and announcements.
The rest of the week, Town Hall will be closed in observance of the 4th of July holidays. So it'll be July 4th and July 5th. July 8th, we'll have a staff meeting from 3 to 4 p.m. here at Town Hall. 4 p.m. we'll have the public hearing, the 2025 tax budget, Town Hall. 4:10, we will have a special meeting at Town Hall. July 10th, the BZA meeting will be canceled. And July 17th, from 6:30 to 7:30, trustee office hours in the conference room, immediately followed by the trustee meeting at 7:30 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, I move to enter executive session to discuss pending litigation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G3 and to have Ms. Matheny and Mr. Patriarca and Mr. Rose join the executive session.
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucci?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Okay, and after we exit executive session, there will be no further business this evening, so thank you, Concord Township. Good night.
Thank you.